Over the past few days, there have been a couple of crazy plane crashes and other very concerning incidences involving airplanes. I mean, just last night we had a very concerning situation happen in Canada with a plane's landing gear malfunctioning or something along those lines. And of course, we had that crazy crash in South Korea that claimed the lives of over 170 people. I think the count right now is at a 179 at the time of this recording. And it's like everywhere you look over the past few days, there's a plane crash here, a plane crash there. This plane has malfunctioning landing gear. This plane had to make an emergency landing. And of course, everyone is beginning to ask, what is going on with all of these plane crashes? Well, I actually found the answer to that question months ago. But I realized how things work. You see, I'll make videos about a problem, right? And often people will write off that problem. Some people will consider it a conspiracy, or the masses, they just won't care. But I'll be here screaming on my YouTube channel until I'm blue in the face. Hey, this is an issue. This is going on. This is going on. And no one will care. And then about 6, 7, 8 months later, something will happen. And then all of a sudden, everyone's interested in the issue that I tried to point out 6, 7 months ago. Happens all the time. It's happening again right now with this situation. You see these plane crashes, the malfunctioning airplanes. This is nothing new. It may have fallen out of the headlines because they wanted it to, but this has been going on for a while. And we were able to trace back a lot of the issues that were going on. You see, most of the aircrafts that are malfunctioning and crashing, not all, but most, are Boeing aircrafts. Now, a lot of these problems, believe it or not, they all trail back to DEI. Boeing was hiring a bunch of people. They were like one of the most radical DEI, I don't even know what to call it. As far as people involved in making airplanes, they were the most radical when it came to DEI, okay? And they started hiring just anyone, according to how they looked. You know what I mean? They didn't care if you were qualified. You had to check off certain boxes. So they quickly, brought in all of these diversity hires that had no business working on airplanes. Something very, very seriously. Or something very, very serious. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to bring in a DEI hire to work at Starbucks, yeah, your cappuccino might not taste as good as it did yesterday, but oh well, you will survive. But if you bring in a DEI hire to make freaking airplanes that are carrying hundreds of people, yeah, something may go wrong if one of these things falls out of the sky. And a lot of them are literally falling out of the sky, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, they brought in all of these DEI hires. I'm talking from people working on computers, logistics, people in the office, to people who are on the ground actually building the airplanes. So that was the cause of a lot of the issues that we were seeing from Boeing. Now, recently in November, Boeing decided that they were going to scrap their DEI nonsense. Now, I think that they're trying to put on a show because all of the heat they've gotten from all of these planes malfunctioning and crashing, I think they're trying to sell the illusion that they've gotten rid of their DEI processes and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if they have really. They claim that they're getting rid of all of the DEI nonsense, that they acknowledge that there's problems with their aircraft, they're getting rid of the DEI nonsense. Yet still to this day, you can go on some of their websites and you will see that they got DEI BS all over the place. But we can't let them off the hook that easily. Because DEI is not the only problem here. The problem is much, much bigger than that. You see, we also found out that Boeing was using scrap parts in order to try to save money, in order to try to save time. They started using scrap parts that were deemed like, hey, this stuff is thrown in the scrap because it's not good enough, right? These are trash parts. We can't build an airplane with this. This right here, it's defective. We're going to throw it in the scrap. Well, Boeing said, guess what? We're going to start using this scrap metal and the scrap material to build our airplanes. What could go wrong? Here's just an excerpt from an article from back in July. A former Boeing quality control manager alleges that for years, workers at its 787 Dreamliner factory in Everett, Washington, routinely took parts that were deemed unsuitable to fly out of an internal scrapyard and put them back on factory assembly lines. In his first network TV interview, Merle Mayers, a 30-year veteran of Boeing, described to CNN what he says was an elaborate off-the-books practice that Boeing managers at the Everett factory used to meet production deadlines, including taking damaged and improper parts from the company's scrapyard storehouses and loading docks. Now, if you're someone that's been watching this channel, this is information you probably already knew about, because this is information that I already went over in the summertime. Yet, of course, here we are today, everyone's still asking the question, running around, what's going on with the airplanes? Well, the information's kind of been out there, people, but that's not the only issue. Not only are they using literal junkyard scrap parts to build airplanes, as crazy as that sounds. So let's keep track here. They're hiring random people off the street. If you match a certain description, if your skin's a certain color or you're a certain sexuality, hey, come work at Boeing. We don't care if you don't know anything about airplanes. So that's the first problem. Second problem is, in order to cut costs and to meet, the time schedules and stuff that they're on, they start using scrap metal and scrap parts to build their airplanes. So what could go wrong there? You got people building the airplanes that have no business building the airplanes, and now they're building the airplanes with scrap metal? What are we, a third world country? What in the hell is going on here? And then you wonder, why are all the planes crashing? Why are all the planes having emergency landings? How come nothing works in this country anymore? Well, this is a reason why, but it didn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. It gets much worse. You see, it was also revealed that Boeing started actually buying fake counterfeit titanium from companies in order to save money. Now, when I figured this out, when I found this out, I didn't really understand what I was finding out. Because I didn't even know that there was a such thing as counterfeit fake titanium. I didn't even grasp that that was a real thing. That plane companies are out here buying fake titanium. Listen, I heard of people buying fake chains, fake jewelry, fake gold. But Boeing was literally buying fake metal to build their airplanes. And after an investigation, they found out that there were little holes and stuff in the metal. It was really crazy stuff. Let's dive into an excerpt from this article. The FAA is investigating after a major manufacturer for Boeing and Airbus said some parts for commercial jets may have been fabricated using counterfeit titanium. The FAA said in a statement that it is looking into the scope and the impact of the issue and cited a disclosure from Boeing about a distributor who may have falsified or provided incorrect records. A manufacturer called Spirit Aerosystems had used titanium sold using fake documents attesting to the material's authenticity. So, Boeing got exposed for using fake counterfeit titanium after the FAA found tiny little holes in the metal of these airplanes due to corrosion. So there are people right now flying in the skies above us on airplanes that are literally corroding because they're flying in fake titanium airplanes that were built with scrap metal, fake metal, by people who don't even know how to build airplanes. Really scary stuff. But it gets much scarier than that. It gets so much scarier than that, ladies and gentlemen. You see, there have been several people who have come forward exposing Boeing. But Boeing is very, very powerful. There was one whistleblower who was actually found dead in his car outside of a hotel room in Charleston, South Carolina, right before he was scheduled to expose Boeing even further. Now, investigators claim that the guy unalived himself. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. In fact, on a trip to Charleston, I went to that little hotel. I sat in the parking lot for a minute, and I don't know, it just felt weird. I really feel like they lied. I don't feel like that guy claimed his own life. I feel like Boeing had someone take him out right before he was going to drop the mega bombshell. But shortly after that, the story went away. No one cared anymore. No one talked about it anymore. And here we are today, after several more plane crashes and malfunctioning landing gear and what have you, and now people are ready to have the conversation that I was trying to have 7, 8, 9 months ago. But it doesn't even stop there. There's so much more. There's so many layers that we could go through. But like I said, I don't want to waste all of my time going over old information. But just for example, you know the astronauts that are stuck on the International Space Station right now? They flew there on a Boeing aircraft called the Starliner, I believe. And Boeing knew that the Starliner was malfunctioning. They knew that it was not fit to take the astronauts to the space station, let alone bring them home. But they blasted them up there anyway. Now, by the graces of God, they made it. But they couldn't make it back. Now, they're relying on Elon Musk to possibly come up there and retrieve those astronauts in the future. But all of that nonsense is tied to Boeing as well. And I mean, the reason why they don't want a lot of this information out there in the mainstream is because there's a lot of people out there that would not be flying right now if they knew what was going on. If they knew what was going on with Boeing, and Boeing's not the only one. It's just a topic of discussion now. But stuff like this is happening at other companies as well. But yeah, I think that if the masses knew what was going on with these airplane companies right now over the past few years, there would be a lot of people that would refuse to fly. And I'm telling you right now, I haven't been flying lately. It's been a while since I hopped my big ass on an airplane, and I'm definitely, not looking forward to doing so anytime in the near future because I am aware of a lot of these problems. And it's not like a one-off thing that happens every now and then. It's like almost every single day. These aircraft are experiencing major issues, and you'll see them talk about it. You'll see the headlines. A plane runs off the runway. Plane makes emergency landing. You'll see all of this stuff, but you don't see many discussions about the real problem. And, I've had many discussions about the real problem in the past. We just had a little discussion here. You let me know what you think. Have a discussion down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.